Okay. Everything in Judaism always has differences of opinion. Nothing we could really agree on, right? Baruch Hashem, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. We could agree with 2 Jews and 3 opinions. 3 opinions, 4 opinions. 3 different Jews. So, here we're going to discuss the time of the miracle of Chanuka. When exactly did it happen? What day of the month did it happen? Let's go right to it. This is from Sichos, volume 30. Regarding the time of the victory of the war, we find 2 opinions amongst the Rishonim, amongst the earlier commentaries of the Talmud. The Rambam's opinion is that the victory happened on the 25th of Kislev. In his language, when the Jewish people overcame their enemies, on the 25th of Kislev, they then entered the temple and they were searching for the oil. That's the opinion of the Rambam. The victory happened on the 25th of Kislev. The Meiri says the victory actually happened on the 24th of Kislev. It's known that there are also 2 opinions that we learned yesterday about what exactly days of Chanukah are about. Are they only days of thanks and praise and not days of festive rejoicing? Remember the opinion, whose opinion that was, anybody? The opinion which says it's just days of praise, not days of feasting. Huh? That's the Gemara. That's what Gemara says, yeah. The tour. Yeah, okay, good. And also the Rif and the Rosh seem to subscribe to that opinion as well. And that's why the Shulchan Aruch always sides with the majority of the 3 poskim, the Rambam, the Rif, and the Rosh. So, is it only about praise and not about feasting, or is it also about feasting? In the language of the Rambam says these 8 days, which begin on the night of the 25th of Kislev. There are 2 versions of the Rambam. One of them says the night of the 25th of Kislev. One of them does not have the word the night. They are, according to the Rambam, days of happiness, which means feasting, the mitzvah to have a festive meal, and days of praise. You might want to say the argument about when the victory of war happened is associated with the argument about what the days of Chanukah are about. The argument about whether or not the days of Chanukah being days of festivity or not depends upon when the days of Chanukah are celebrated. According to the opinions which hold, the days of Chanukah are only days of praise. The day that Chanukah was celebrated only because of the miracle that happened with the candles. A spiritual miracle brings us to a spiritual celebration because Hashem gave us the miraculous opportunity to light the menorah with a jar of oil that lasts for 8 days. Therefore, we do something spiritual. We say Hallel. So our expression of thanks is mainly for the miracle of the candles. It's for a spiritual thing. And our celebration is only spiritual. But the opinion which holds that the main celebration of Hanukkah rather, is because of the victory of war. So therefore they established we should have a physical celebration. We should have a festive meal because we're celebrating the fact that we were physically saved in war. And the fact that we also say Hallel, that's a spiritual thing that it's a secondary thing. It's another thing, another element of the holiday. But the main holiday is about the miracle of battle. So we could say like this, that the reason why the Rambam holds, or the 2 things the Rambam says, number 1, that the Chanukas are days of joy, days of festivity, days of where it's a mitzvah to have a meal, and number 2, that the miracle of the victory of war happened on the 25th of Kislev. These 2 things the Rambam says are connected to each other. According to the Rambam, the holiday of Hanukkah was established to commemorate the 2 things that happened on that day. But according to the opinion which holds that the main Yontiv of Chanukah, which begins on the night of the 25th of Kislev, was because of the miracle of the candles, and it wasn't because of the victory of war. That's according to their opinion, which hold their opinion is that the victory happened the day before. And on the 25th of Kislev, that's when the miracle of the candles happened. So the Rambam, he holds that the Yontiv begins on the day of victory. When is the day of victory? Day of 25th of Kislev. The other opinion, which says that the victory happened on 24th of Kislev, they say there's no holiday on the 24th of Kislev, because that's not the holiday is about. The holiday is not about the victory of war. The holiday is about what happens on the 25th. That's when they begin. That's when the story of the miracle of the menorah begins. You follow that, Resman?
I do.
So we're bringing together these two arguments. Right. We're saying the reason why the Rambam holds the days of joy and days of festivity is because we are celebrating what happened on the 25th of Kislev. The 25th of Kislev is a time of victory of war. It's a physical celebration, and therefore it's a physical celebration. So the Rambam's opinion that the holiday of Chanukah begins on the 25th of Kislev, and it's a time of celebration, is in sync with the Rambam's opinion, which is that the 25th of Kislev was the day of the victory of war, and that's what the holiday is about. It's about a physical celebration. So according to this, it's very precise the way the Meiri says this. The Meiri says that the victory happened on the 24th of Kislev. So the Meiri says, when he's talking about the celebration of the first night of Chanukah, which on the first glance, as many commentaries ask, there was no miracle yet happened with the oil. The Meiri writes, they celebrated. What is the celebration of the first night of Kislev, the first night of Chanukah? Oh, they celebrate, number one, the Geula, they celebrate the redemption, and they celebrate the discovery of the cruse of oil. The Meiri is not satisfied with saying they celebrate the redemption, but he also has to add they celebrate the finding the cruse of oil. Because if the celebration was just about the redemption, when should the Chanukah have begun? On the 24th, day before, on the 24th of Kislev. According to the Meiri, the first day of Chanukah, we're celebrating the discovery of the cruse of oil and the Geula. He's not satisfied with just saying the victory, because if it was just about the victory, Chanukah should have begun on the day before. So therefore, he says the reason why we celebrate day one of Chanukah is also because of the discovery of the jar of oil, which happened on the first day of Chanukah, which was connected with the lighting the menorah on the night of the 25th of Kislev. So again, the Rambam is saying that the reason we celebrate the Chanukah is because of the victory of war. When did the victory happen according to the Rambam? Day 25. Fits very well. That's when the holiday begins. That's what the holiday is about. According to the Meiri, the miracle of the victory of war happened on the 24th of Kislev. The holiday doesn't begin then. That's not what the holiday is about. The holiday begins on the 25th of Kislev. Now, that first day of Yontiv is also because of the discovery of the cruse of oil. The miracle actually only begins today, the 26th of Kislev. That's when the real miracle begins, because it lasts past day one. But we're also celebrating the 25th of Kislev, according to the Meiri, because that's when we found the cruse of oil. What about the victory of war? That's not the holiday. That's not the holiday is about. And that's why the holiday doesn't begin with the 24th of Kislev. That's how you could possibly explain the connection between these two arguments. The arguments whether these days are days of joy or just days of thanks and praise, and whether the holiday is connected with the victory of war, or it's also only connected with the discovery and the lighting of the menorah. It has to do with what day things happened. According to the Rambam, the victory of war was on the 25th of Kislev. That's when the holiday begins, and that's what the holiday is about. According to Meiri, the holiday begins on the 25th of Kislev, the day after the victory of war, and the celebration isn't about the victory of war, it's about the discovery of the cruse of oil and lighting there. That's how you might want to explain this, but the Rebbe is not satisfied with saying this. Problem with saying this is like this. Do you have a question about this? Do you have a question? No? On Purim, the Yontiv's clearly because of the victory of war. We're celebrating our salvation. We're celebrating how the Jewish people were saved from the decree of Haman, and they were victorious over their enemies. what day is Purim? So we don't celebrate Purim on the day of the victory. We celebrate Purim the day after, the day of Yom HaMenucha, the day when we rested from battle. As the Megillah says, in the city of Shushan, where there were more anti-Semites, they celebrate Purim on the 15th of Adar because the victory happened on the 14th of Adar. And outside of Shushan, they celebrate Purim on the 14th of Adar because the victory happened on the 13th of Adar. So Chanukah, you could say the same thing. Even though the victory happened on the 24th of Kislev, nevertheless, the holiday should be celebrated on the 25th, like on Purim. As is known, the allusion that we have from the word Chanuka, Chanuka is made up of two words, Chanu Chafei. They rest on the 25th. They fought on the 24th. They rest on the 25th. So you could so it's not clear just because you hold that the victory happened on the 24th. Just because you hold the victory on the 24th, it doesn't mean that the holiday shouldn't be about the victory, because on Purim, the victory happened the day before Purim, and yet the holiday is clearly about the victory of war, and we just celebrate the next day.
So why outside do they celebrate on the 13th? I mean, the victory is on the 13th. They celebrate on the 14th.
Because there were less anti-Semites outside of Shushan. And
it took 2 days for
Shushan to clear out all of the... So the Alter Rebbe says that the same thing. He says the Yontiv of Pesach is a holiday we celebrate on the same day the miracle happened. Chanukah and Purim, he says about both of them, they're celebrating the day of resting, the day after the miracle. So according to this, it comes out, according to the Rambam, which he holds that the victory of war was on the 25th of Kislev, and he holds that the Yontiv of Chanukah is about the victory. And according to the Rambam, the first day of Chanukah is just about the victory of war. That's what the first day of Chanukah is about, according to Pri Chadash. So the Yontiv of Chanukah is not on the day of rest, like on Purim, rather it's on the day of victory, like on Pesach. Just like on Pesach, Hashem saved us on the 15th of Nisan. So too on Chanukah, the Rambam says, we're celebrating Chanukah on the day of the victory. According to the Meiri, the victory happened on the 24th of Kislev. The celebration of Chanukah is on the day of rest, the day after the victory, like on Purim. You follow? According to Meiri, the victory happens on the 24th of Kislev. The Yontiv is on the 25th. According to the Rambam, the victory is on the 25th, and the Yontiv is on the 25th. So the Rambam and the Meiri aren't only arguing about what
makes sense.
What makes sense.
If he thinks that the victory is finding the oil.
No. Everyone, when I say the word victory, I mean the victory over a victory in war.
He thinks that we're celebrating finding the oil, and he thinks the celebration is the victory, and the celebration and the finding of the oil. It makes sense. We have a did.
So that's what our first position was. First position was they're just arguing about what when Chanukah starts. Does Chanukah start on the day of the victory, which is a physical salvation, or does Chanukah start on the day of the spiritual miracle of the Menorah? But the Rebbe says, if you look more carefully, just because they won in battle on the 24th doesn't mean that the Chanukah should be celebrated for the victory on the 24th. We find on Purim, the victory is on the 13th, and yet the celebration is the next day, Yom HaMenucha. So how come on Chanukah do we celebrate the day after? So we do have a similar thing, the Alter Rebbe says, on Pesach. We don't celebrate the day after our redemption from Egypt. We celebrate the day of the redemption from Mitzrayim, on the 15th of Nisan. So Pesach and Chanukah, the Alter Rebbe says, are the same. We don't celebrate the day of rest. We celebrate the day of the victory. But according to Meiri, the day of the first day of Chanukah is the day of rest, not the day of the actual victory. So the argument whether Chanukah is on the day of victory or the day of rest from war is dependent, everyone wants to say, but going to say, on the connection between the victory to the Yom. Whether or not you say that the holiday of Chanukah is about the victory or not, depends, or whether you say that the celebration should be on the day of the victory, the day of rest from war, depends on how you understand the connection between the victory in war to the holiday of Hanukkah. In other words, according to everybody, the Yontiv of Hanukkah has relationship both to the victory and to the miracle of the candles. The argument is, if the miracle of the victory of war was that just a preparation for the miracle of the candles, and that's the completion of the victory, and that's the reason why you say that that's the reason why you would have an opinion about what the Yontiv should be established. Is the victory just a preparation for the holiday, or is it similar in its import, to its relevance to the holiday of Hanukkah, and therefore the victory itself is let me try to say this again in English.
In Purim,
both
we have battles in both. But the difference between Purim and Hanukkah is that in Purim there is no second miracle that comes about. We don't have candles to light.
Okay.
It's a hidden miracle. But in Hanukkah it's a revealed miracle. So we have 2 days.
Interesting point. Maybe we'll get further on. We'll see about that. Good point. But for right now, I'll try to understand what they're saying about the relationship between the victory of a war to the establishment of the holiday of Hanukkah. Rebbe is saying that whether you say Hanukkah is about day of rest from war, day after the war, or if you say Hanukkah is about the day of victory of war, day of victory, that those two opinions are based upon understanding whether the victory is just a preparation for the miracle of the candles, or the victory is tantamount to the miracle of the candles. It's equal in its importance to the holiday of Hanukkah as much as the holiday of the candles. In other words, is the victory of war just step one to get to the apex of the miracle, which is they raise the flag and they light the menorah, and that's the ultimate miracle, that the victory of war leads us into the main miracle, which is the lighting of the menorah? Or is the victory of in war, is that equal in its importance and its relevance to Hanukkah to the lighting of the menorah? Everyone agrees that Hanukkah has to do with both. They're arguing whether the miracle of the victory is just a preparation for the miracle of the candles, and that's the ultimate expression of what Hanukkah is about, or it's equal to the miracle of the candles. That's the argument. So according to the opinion which holds that the victory in war was just a preparation for the miracle of the candles, the Yontiv of Hanukkah is the purification of the Beis Hamikdash and lighting the menorah. So therefore, days of Hanukkah are not days of joy. According to the Rambam, the victory is equal in its importance as why we celebrate the days of Hanukkah. And therefore, there are two elements in Hanukkah. There's not just days where we praise Hashem, there are also days of joy, also days when we have to have festive meals. So if you don't understand this yet, as Yonatan is looking at me and scratching his head, let's go further and we'll understand this better. I was going to explain exactly what we're saying. What is exactly this argument? Whether it's a preparation for the victory is a preparation for the candles, or is it equal to the miracle of the candles? The Yontivs that the Jewish people celebrate, actually Yonatan has his minute was in here in Los Angeles, is checking down on Brad Street at 6:52 a.m. is a minute Yisrael. Okay. Whatever, it's not for your age. Okay. Yontiv is celebrated for a miracle that happened to Jewish people. That's why you celebrate Yontiv. Yontiv has to do with something amazing that happens to Jewish people at a certain time. So there's two different ways Yontiv is celebrated. Either Yontiv is celebrated for the salvation of Jewish people, not about the manner in which we were saved, just the fact that we were saved, or this Yontiv is celebrated not only about the fact that we were saved, Yontiv is also celebrated in sync with the manner that we were saved. There's two different ways. Wow, the Pesach is good. Wow, back to the good old days. Let's bring Pesach back. Baruch Hashem. You don't remember Pesach? Pesach is here in the middle of Chanukah. The Alter Rebbe just said that Pesach is just like Chanukah. Just said that because Pesach and Chanukah are both celebrated in the date they happen. Okay. So there are two ways you could explain a Yontif. Either Yontif is celebrated. The two different ways of Yom Tov are celebrated. Either they're just celebrated because we were saved. That's how we celebrate them. We just celebrate that we were saved. Or does our Yom Tov also commemorate the way that we were saved? So according to the Rambam, this is one of the differences between Purim and Chanukah. Although in both of them, Purim and Chanukah, God saved us from our enemies. And on the contrary, on Purim, there was a major emphasis on the fact that God saved our lives from Haman who wanted to destroy us all in one day. So in Purim, the main Yontif is about the result. We were saved. And the reason why that's the main festival, because Dr. Vess mentioned before, the victory in war wasn't an open miracle. It was a miracle that was carved in the way of nature. But where the Yontif not just on the result, that we were saved, but it was also on the way that we were saved. The fact that we won the war was an open miracle. So we're not just celebrating the result, we're celebrating the way we got there. What's going on? Purim, since the manner in which we were saved was miraculous, therefore, what's our celebration on Purim? It's our celebration of the concept that we are saved no matter how. But on Chanukah, since our victory was also a miracle, like we won the war was a miracle, we're not only celebrating the result that we're alive, we're also celebrating the manner in which we won war. And therefore, according to the Rambam, therefore, Purim, victory in battle, is just considered a preparation for the main thing. Purim, the victory in battle, is a preparation for the fact that we're celebrating something else, the consequence. What's the consequence? That the Jewish people answer Ochai that we're alive when we're here to celebrate. So therefore, what day do we celebrate Purim? Not the day we won the war. We celebrate Purim the day after we won the war. So on Purim, the emphasis is the victory of, since the war itself was a war that was garbed in the ways of nature. It wasn't, the whole story of Purim is something that was, there was no open holes, everything was garbed in nature. So therefore, in Purim, we don't celebrate the method in which God saved us. We celebrate only the consequence. What day is Purim? Purim isn't on the day of the war. It is on the day after the war, the day that we're resting from war, because we're celebrating on Purim not the salvation itself, because the salvation itself was miraculous. We're celebrating the consequence of the salvation. But on Chanukah, that there was an actual miracle in the victory war itself. Therefore, we celebrate not only the result that we're alive today, we celebrate also the victory itself too, which was, and there, what day of Chanukah celebrated on the day of the victory. That's awesome. Chanukah, we're celebrating not only the fact that Hashem saved us, but how He saved us. He saved us in a miraculous way. On Purim, you can't celebrate so much the way Hashem saved us because it was garbed in nature. So therefore, a Yontif is about revelation, and the Hashem revealing Himself to us. So on Purim, revelation is in the whole after Chad Gadya, the story of Purim, all different events that happen. We celebrate the result. Therefore, when's the holiday of Purim celebrated? The day after the victory. On Chanukah, since the victory itself was a miracle, therefore on Chanukah we're not also only celebrating the result in the day after the war. We're celebrating the day of the victory of war. We're celebrating Chanukah on the day of the victory. The Alter Rebbe, he sides with the opinion of the Meiri, who holds that the discovery of the oil and the victory of the Meiri holds the victory in war was 24th of Kislev. Okay, I said it wrong before. Jonathan, where are you? You're not awake today. Pesach, Alter Rebbe says, on the day of the victory, on the day of the same day the miracle happened, Alter Rebbe says, that's what we say Pesach. But Chanukah, Purim, are celebrated the day after. Chanuka, according to who? According to the Alter Rebbe. Now, that's the opinion of the Meiri. Meiri says that the victory happened. We're going according to the opinion of the Rambam. The victory happened on the 25th of Kislev, and that's when the holiday begins. The holiday begins on the same day as the victory. But the Alter Rebbe holds like the Meiri, who says that victory happened on
What? It happened on the 24th.
According to the Meiri, it happened on the 24th. So it's not like Pesach. On Chanuka, we celebrate after. But Pesach, the miracle and the Yontif are on the same day. Okay. So so although it seems that the Alter Rebbe differs with Rambam, the Rambam says that we explain the Rambam very well. We explain that the Rambam holds you celebrate the day of the victory too. That also miraculous. What's the meaning of the opinion of the Meiri? The Meiri says that we celebrate the day after the victory. So the Rebbe wants to say that the theme of the Alter Rebbe's explanation does fit with the Rambam, that victory happened on the 25th of Kislev. Because there's a difference between Chanukah and Pesach. Although the Alter Rebbe says the victory happened on the 24th of Kislev, the content of what he's saying, the theme of what he's saying, fits with what the Rambam says. So you cannot compare Chanukah to Pesach. On Pesach, there are two different things that happen. Number one, Hashem sent all plagues to the Egyptians and destroyed the Egyptians. Number two, Hashem saved the Jewish people. And they happen simultaneously and at the same event in the 10th plague. As the Alter Rebbe writes,
that's why we have the fast of the firstborn. On a separate day, we have
the Alter says, don't say that one happened before some people want to say that Hashem saved the Jewish people before midnight and he killed the Egyptians at midnight. Alter says, no, at midnight, Hashem killed the firstborn and he saved the Jewish people at the same time. But on Chanukah, although the victory in war is part of the miracle for which reason we are celebrating this Yontif, nevertheless, the main miracle of Chanukah is the miracle of the candles. That's when you saw godliness openly. You saw godliness openly when the candles are lasting more than one day. So, but as mentioned before, that's why in a way the 26th of Kislev has an advantage over the 25th of Kislev. That's 26 is the numerically to Yud Kei Vav Kei. It says the 24th of Kislev is equal to the 24 letters of Baruch Shem, and 25 letters of Shema Yisrael are correspond to the 25th of Kislev. And then, okay, sorry. And 26th of Kislev is an miracle come to Hashem's name, which is because you see Hashem. You see one miracle happen 24th, which was the victory of war. 25th is when they discovered the cruse of oil. It's one revelation. 26th of Kislev is when you see the miracle of it lasting beyond nature into the next day. Whatever. Sorry for confusing you. Now wake up again. Let's go back over here. So the Alter Rebbe, although the Alter Rebbe says different to the Rambam, that the miracle of victory was on the 24th of Kislev, but the Alter Rebbe holds the main miracle isn't the victory of war. The main miracle of Chanukah is the miracle of the menorah. That's when you saw Hashem. That's when you saw an open miracle. Much more than you saw the open miracle in the victory of war. You saw that on the miracle of the candles. And not only that, but the miracle of the candles, the miracle of the menorah, expresses the miracle of Judaism, of Yiddishkeit. The Yevanim wanted to destroy Yiddishkeit. When you see the victory of Yiddishkeit, maybe you saw the physical victory you saw the before, but when you see the victory of Yiddishkeit, victory of Judaism, you saw that on the 25th of Kislev. So the Alter Rebbe says there were two miracles here that happened at two different times. There was the miracle of the victory of war, and there was a miracle of the Pach Shemen of the cruse of oil, which is the perfection of the salvation of the Jewish people. So it comes out. Okay, too much information for today. Let's stop now. We'll regroup tomorrow. We'll try to figure this out tomorrow.
Simple question.
Yeah.
The gematria for 24 is
24 letters of Baruch Shem.
Oh.
Reb Zev this year. That's why I got Kabbalistic for a second. Just Reb Zev. 24, 25, 26. That's something to eat today, yeah? So the Alter Rebbe, his opinion, which is that you celebrate Chanukah on the 25th of Kislev, is similar to what the Rambam says. You celebrate the day of the miracle. Just it's two different miracles. According to Alter Rebbe, we're celebrating the day of the miracle. Which miracle? Not the miracle of the victory of war. The day of the miracle of the candles. According to the Rambam, you're celebrating the day of the miracle. Which miracle? The miracle of the victory of war, which happened 25th of Kislev. According to Alter Rebbe, the victory of war happens on the 24th, but you're still celebrating on Chanukah on the 25th, the day of the miracle, just a different miracle, the miracle of the candles. So it's still about celebrating not the day after the miracle. Like in Purim, it's celebrating the day of the miracle. Okay, we a lot of information here. We'll have to go regroup tomorrow and to try to understand a little better. It's a shame.
And 12. That's good.